All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope you enjoy. I hate you.
You bastard, you got yours already.
Well, I want to talk about it real quick, because Universal couldn't give us gatefolds, but Concert Live gave us gatefold. We couldn't get a gatefold on Millennium.
I thought that was funny, too.
But it doesn't have printed inner dust sleeves, so there's still some geeks who are annoyed. And at least these ones all come pre-dinged, right?
I got one good one. The rest of them had issues.
Well,
it was the one in the middle. It was the one in the middle that survived.
What
but,
a bunch!
I can't wait to be disappointed with mine.
Yeah, what a bunch of buttheads that company is. You know, where's mine? I want mine. I have issues. Okay, so thank you, Nigel, for that brief update. So, as anyone has probably noticed, people are getting their copies of the Concert Live Download Festival 2008 double vinyl. Uncle Gene, if it's not legitimate, go after them, because they're really screwing it up as well, and we're all pissed that we're not getting good copies.
Gene's still waiting on his, he said. Someone said that Gene is owed a copy or two, and he's still waiting on his to be delivered.
Yeah, well, I hope they package his better, but who knows? All right, so that's
an email I want to see.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one. All right, let's jump into the show. Welcome to episode 35 of the KissFAQ podcast. Today is the end. The topic today is about how and when we would like Kiss to end it, whether they already should have or not, and what we think each of the members of the band will do after Kiss does eventually call it a day, because inevitably it's unlikely that Gene's going to want to be getting up on stage as an 85-year-old demon, or any of them for that matter. Time catches up with everyone, and we see some bands do it better than others and maybe bow out elegantly. It's too late for that, fortunately for Kiss, because they've never been about elegance. So, let's get straight into this with that part of the question, I guess. Actually, why don't I introduce you guys? Joining me today is Ken, 69th Blizzard. Welcome back, Ken.
Thank you.
There's some guy in a St. Louis hat. Lonnie.
Julian's a little bitter the day after he lost 2 out of 3.
Nigel, welcome back. Nosferatu 1974. It's been a while since you've been on, so great that you could join us and also show off your new toy. I'm glad that you haven't hung up and gone to go play it to see how badly the needle jumps around the vinyl from compressing all that shit onto 2 platters.
I did actually sample it out, and it's definitely MP3 sourced. And in between each track, because if you remember, they had the on the Concert Lives, they have the little skip, not the skip, but the silence in between each track. And the vinyl has it too. So in between each track, you hear a skip, but it looks cool, so it's all right.
It looks cool, and as Kiss fans, we're more concerned with how it looks than the actual quality. But I remember when they were doing those Concert Live CDs in 2008, I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me that these are MP3s, because obviously the 2004 Instant Lives were fantastic. So, also better performances, better sets, and better sonics and everything. So, but whatever. It's a cool vinyl release for people who care about that sort of shit. So, let's get back to the topic. The end. And I guess let's start with when, if you think they have, should they have ended Kiss? That's kind of the trick question. Ken?
When should it? Well,
if you believe it. So you could say I don't believe it at all. They shouldn't. They shouldn't have already ended it. That's a possible out.
Well, being a big Kiss fan, I never want them to end, really, right? But I thought they were going to end, and maybe some people thought they were going to end on the farewell tour, and maybe they should have. I don't know, but you know what? We wouldn't have gotten some more great things from them. I guess it's up to people's what they believe. But Sonic Boom, Monster, we wouldn't have had those 2 albums I mean, we have some good songs off of those, so I'm happy for the new music. And for me, it's mostly about the music anyway. And seeing them live too, continuing on from the farewell tour is great. You know, they put in some great shows since then. So should they have ended? I'm going to say no. But it doesn't mean that I think they should be ending soon, which maybe we'll get to. But I'll just say no.
Yeah, I like to throw that question out there. Nigel, what say you?
Well, you know, the obvious answer would be 2000 was when it ended. But they got back on track about 2009. You know, I was a big fan. I was really getting into the band around 2000, 2001. And it was just an awkward time to be a fan. You know, you had Peter, then you had Tommy, then you had Ace, then you had Eric. It was all this back and forth. They weren't putting anything really new out. They were doing a bunch of greatest hits tours, kind of here and there, sporadically. I'm in it till the end, honestly. They can go for as long as they want, and I'll be interested. I honestly, the first time I really thought maybe this is the end was the decline of Paul's voice. That, to me, signifies definitely there's something that you're losing there. Because without Gene and Paul, that's the basis of the whole thing. And so as far as I'm concerned, they can go on forever. I'm fine with it, and I'll always be interested in what they do. But if they called it quits in the next couple of years, I wouldn't be upset.
No, I mean, you do reach the sell-by date of any product ultimately, and I guess I'm kind of with you on Gene and Paul are the deal breakers for me. They're kind of irreplaceable just because, you know, they've already replaced Peter and Ace, so, you know, I can't call that the deal breaker now and still be sitting here doing a KISS podcast, so, or running a KISS board. So I would be very uncomfortable with particularly Paul being replaced, because I've never seen a decent Paul, and I mean that with all due respect to all the tribute band guys who go out there and put on the makeup and put on the show and perform. You guys do a stellar job, but I haven't seen a convincing Paul Stanley analog yet, whereas we see guys like Spiro, pardon me, who does a fantastic Gene. You see some of the tribute band Genes who come pretty darn close as well. And who is it on Facebook who does a great unmask? Michael Simmons, I think his name is. Fantastic out of makeup. I mean, I think another chap, Gil, who does Paul Stanley in a similar style, just doesn't quite have it, you know, in looks.
Was that the Lullaby guy, Paul Stanley?
I don't think so.
Did you see that video?
No.
He did, okay. He was singing to his kid. He was singing Forever. He sounded really good. I don't think he looked like him. I think I'm getting those mixed up, but
yeah, it's the look. So should they have?
I don't think Gene would ever go on without Paul, though. I mean, if they replace Paul, I think that's when Gene would call it a day, because I think they're in it. They're in it together, as far as that goes.
Yeah, I somewhat agree with you on that. Should they have ended it already? I'll stick with kind of the party line of 2001 would have been kind of an ideal part with the farewell tour, but, you know, I kind of bought into this is the farewell and they changed it. But you know what? It's been everyone's prerogative to change their mind, whether they're in a band, whether they're deciding what they're eating for dinner. It's no different whatsoever. It's a personal decision. So I really couldn't care less. I wasn't bothered when, you know, Eric took over Peter's makeup particularly, or Tommy did Ace's. So yeah, 2001 would have been a nice part, but then we would have had a reunion 5 years later anyway in some format, so whatever. Lonnie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I really bought in on the whole farewell tour deal, and, you know, saw him a couple times on that tour, and when I saw him in August of 2000, I really, truly believed it would be the last time I saw him. And that show was great, and it had its... But I mean, they weren't as good as they were the last time I'd seen them on their, like, say, the reunion tour. You could tell that they had lost a little bit of something, and maybe it's because the band obviously was not getting along. They weren't on good terms, the four of them at the time, obviously. But you know, I thought that the band might have been coming to an end around the time that Sonic Boom came out, that you could really start to see the decline in Paul's voice, especially at the live performances around that time. And I thought, you know what, the end could be near. And after they toured in 2010, they did that Shed tour in 2010, and then they announced that, you know, we're going to go back in the studio and do another album. I was really surprised that they were going to go back and do it again. And, you know, obviously another album means another, you know, for a minimum of a year worth of tours to follow. And obviously that's what it's been. And they've kind of been on the same cycle for the last few years of North America 1 year, Europe the next, and, you know, back and forth. So I really thought that the end, I thought it twice. I thought the end was coming in the farewell, because I really bought into that. I know a guy even has like a tattoo of like the farewell tour like logo on his forearm, and it says, you know, Legends Never Die, 1973 to 2000. Well, he really bought in.
Gonna have to get some cover-up work done there, maybe.
You have to get two numbers erased off that tattoo.
Right. I guess, you know, eventually you can get it touched up whenever they do decide to call it a day. But, you know, I guess I thought it twice, that they were going to end it twice. I thought after 2000, and then, you know, after Japan and Australia in early 2001, and then they didn't do anything for a while. And I really thought, you know, it was just kind of, instead of coming to a triumphant end, it was just going to slowly just die almost, because they didn't do anything for a while. And then after 09, I really thought that, you know, they're going to tour for Sonic Boom, and then, you know what, they made one final album and they're going to call it a day. But, you know, but here we are, it's 2015, and rumors are they're going to tour North America next year. So
yeah,
I think it's in their blood. I think they've been doing it for so long, and I don't want to say that they wouldn't know what to do without Kiss, but I think it's just such a part of them that they don't want to give it up. Because Paul Stanley, you know, in his mind, I think he still thinks he's 25 years old. So, you know, it's like, why give up the thing that I worked so hard to create and that I've created this legacy on, you know? I think they're going to go till something happens medically. I think there might be an issue. Even with Gene, I mean, Gene doesn't really talk too much about his health issues, but he just posted a picture of some sort of cataract surgery he just had done. And I remember when we were on the cruise show, I think it was the 2012 show, Gene had to sit down towards the end of the set. I got a couple pictures of him sitting down on the speaker cabinet in the back, and a roadie came out and gave him some water, and he patted his face and stuff, and he just sat there and chilled out for a few minutes. And, you know, they were going to be 70 pretty soon, so.
Yeah, that's the scariest part when, you know, I look back to when I became a fan and, you know, didn't really consider their age. I mean, Paul Stanley just felt like that older brother, kind of. But now you look at the age and it's like, Paul, you know, you're not 25 anymore. And bless him for still getting up on stage, and Gene for that matter. And even Eric now, and Tommy, I mean, obviously is the youngest. You know, time is catching up with every single person. So let's get into how and when would we like Kiss to end it. And Lonnie, gonna go with you first.
All right, since I went last, I will go first. I would like to see them, you know, I don't think they can play, and maybe you guys will disagree with me, but I don't know if they can go out and tour North America or Europe for that matter and play the farewell tour card again. You know, I don't think, you know, they've already played that card, and they still get ridiculed for playing that card. Granted, my brother saw Ozzy on the farewell tour in 1992, and Ozzy's still out there touring. But
The Who. When did The Who do their farewell tour? Like 1982?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but Kiss still gets criticized for it, I think, more than like The Who or Ozzy does. I think Kiss has just always has been, you know, the butt of being criticized, you know, in an easy target, I guess you could say. So I don't think, with that in mind, that they can go out and play that card again and say, you know, this is really at this time 16 or 17 or whatever years after they've already played that card. I don't. You know, the public isn't going to buy into it. You know, you're not going to go out on farewell too or something like that. So what I would like to see them do is, you know, there's rumors of them touring next summer. So do that. tour North America one more time, really big, and then just announce a series of dates in New York at Madison Square Garden, or one date at Citibank Field where the Mets play or something like that, or Yankee Stadium or something, and say, this is it, we're calling it a day. And if they're, maybe if they did, we're doing it a day, maybe they couldn't do like one date at Citi Field or something. Maybe they'd still have to do a couple of dates at Citi Field, kind of like Motley Crue's doing a couple of dates at, on New Year's Eve, and say, it'd be a pilgrimage from all over the world of people to come see them on their final show. Just like final show or final series of shows, 2 or 3 shows, whatever. And, people have said that, well, if they ever did end it, maybe they should get like every past member up on stage to do something with them. And that sounds great, but I don't ever see that happening again. And, I could sit here and say too, I'd like for them to do, a series of shows or a show with Ace and Peter before they call it a day. And you know what? If they didn't play with Ace and Peter at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they will never play again with Ace and Peter. That was the one last, in my opinion, that was the one last time to play that card. And Gene and Paul wanted nothing to do with that idea. So,
well, it seemed like Gene was open to it. Ace, there was a whole lot of mystery going on.
There was a little
at that
back
time.
and forth when it first started, yeah.
Because Ace was like, yeah, we're going to play. And he went on Eddie Trunk's show. And he said, come see me, we're going to play. And then he went back on like a week later and said, don't expect us to play. But then Gene said he was open to the idea of playing.
I tell you, the false shots.
Yeah. So it was such a back and forth. I mean, that was a real interesting time. It wasn't necessarily the most positive news, but every day there was something new coming out. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that tells you who calls the shots at the end of the day of what they're going to and what they're not going to do.
It just would help, in all of this, that they would talk to one another and be on the same page, because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was a total clusterfuck. So Gene and Paul, that's on you. That's not on Ace and Peter at all, because you can understand them wanting to play.
And not to dwell on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but remember when it was announced that they were getting in? Paul tweeted out, like, just got off the phone with Peter Criss, whatever bad blood was there before or something, but all is good. And it really kind of, even Paul kind of alluded to the fact that, well, maybe they are on good terms, or maybe something good could come of this. And, obviously we know the end result.
Something
I
good.
think
Something good.
Autobiographies is what killed that.
I think that's the sword and whatever was still out there.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't want to. They didn't want to put on the makeup, or they didn't want to let Ace and Peter put their makeup back on. I think that was a big deal for Paul.
And I think it was a big deal for Ace, too, that he didn't want to get up on stage, even, like, out of makeup, with, like, the current band in makeup, and get up on stage with a guy with his makeup on. And I respect that from him. I'm not going to do that.
That was the other thing. And, Paul wanted all the past members, or maybe most of them, included in the induction. So...
Yeah, with 1 or 2 exceptions, right?
Right, 1 or 2.
Let's see. Who could? Okay. All right. So Ken, what do you think?
Okay. Well, I've kind of thought about this in the past, and there's 2 scenarios that I could see, or I'd like to see happen. One would be go out with a bang, one concert, a free concert. I know that's my. I mean, come on now. But a free concert, a la Simon Garfunkel, Central Park kind of thing. I would just love to see them do that, or not free concert, but you pay to it and they give all of it to whatever donation, Wounded Warriors, right? Wounded Warriors or whatever charity, right? That would look good on them, and. A free concert, maybe you get televised, possibly, or on HBO, or who knows what. So I would say go out with a big bang. If they can get past members to join them on stage for a couple songs, not the whole set maybe, that would be kind of cool. Maybe at the end, rock and roll all night, whatever. That's one scenario for me. The other scenario is, which has been talked about, is this Kiss 2.0 thing, and where they talk about having a show, TV show, like American Idol or whatever, to choose new members, and maybe they could do that. Maybe no one would watch the show. I don't know, but maybe they could do some kind of auditions. And they could then go out with a bang in a different way, where they start half the show or a show, they're in makeup, and this is it. They switch out, Gene goes off, the new Gene comes on, or the new demon comes on. Maybe we should talk in that term, and so on. Paul Stanley goes off, the new guy comes on. These are all new guys come on, and I don't know. If that's
I was going to say that.
Yeah, evil Kiss will be coming on the stage.
You want it for the real Kiss?
Yeah,
real Kiss.
So I don't know. I think they're going to do that kind of thing, or they might try to do 2.0. But I don't know. I don't think they'll do it in that way. But I think my first example of a big bang, one-off show would be it.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And I mean, the Devereaux kind of thing of, imagine there's God of Thunder, you hoist Gene up into the truss and up there appears his replacement, so. Yeah, so there's Gene, Paul flies on his zip line and poof, he's gone, and
Paul flies behind.
Lazarus.
Yeah, it's like the tag team from hell kind of concept, but, That was going to be what I mentioned, Ken, the KISS 2.0 kind of concept, that if they say that KISS can go on indefinitely without them, then they need to do a turnover of the mantle, or whatever phrase you want to turn for that, and take it out on the road. So do Paul and Gene go out on the road with them in a 2.0? I think more interesting in that is the television concept. If they could get anyone to bite, because these reality shows and In Excess and Rockstar and all that crap has been done to death, so they really need to kind of come up with a new format for that genre of show. So I mean, it's almost like Ultimate Fighter, because you got to have these Gene Simmons and Paul Stanleys killing each other to be the Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, or I'm sorry, to be the Star Child and Demon. It's nothing to do with those guys, because it's all about the character, right? And, for that matter, we don't know about Eric and Tommy's status. Are they up, or would that simply be for KISS 2.0.1, for a later series, because it would take the focus away from Gene and Paul, and would they want that focus taken away by Ace and Peter's makeup once again? So,
Eric was at the Indie Expo.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Eric said Eric was at the Indie Expo, and somebody asked him about that, and he said that I told Gene and Paul that when you guys go, I go. I'm out when you're out. That he's not going to continue on without Ace, without Gene and Paul, and I kind of see this. Maybe I see the same thing for Tommy. I don't know. It'd be kind of awkward for Tommy to go out there with
the old guys.
Yeah. For Eric, I don't think he's got any worries about what he'll do in the future. He's still a damn good drummer. No matter what, he's a good drummer. Tommy's still a decent guitarist, but I see him more on the business side. He always strikes me more of like the J.J. French school, future manager of other bands, or continuing keeper of the archives. So I don't think they need to be in the picture. Nigel, you were going to say something. You were going to chime in.
I was going to say I could see him managing KISS 2.0.
Yeah.
Tommy
along with Doc.
Yeah.
Or whatever. As far as how I would like it to end, we can talk about KISS 2.0, and I would check it out, but I wouldn't consider that the continuation of the KISS that we know. Well, to me, once Gene and Paul are done, it's something else. It's something else entirely, because they've been there since 70, whenever they met, 1970. I think the best last KISS show has already happened, and that was Unplugged. I don't think you could ever top that, and at this point, the egos are so all over the place. I don't think you could ever get anything that natural. Okay. Looks that natural ever again. As far as what I'd like a last show to be, like Ken said, just as many people as you can get from the past. I wouldn't even care if it was in makeup, because it's about the music for me. They could just get up there and play whatever songs they wanted. They don't have to play the hits. Like I said, a free show would be cool.
That's all they play is the hits.
Free show, and they don't have to play the hits. Then Kiss won't be there.
That will be Kiss 2. Yeah, 2.0. We'll have to cover for that show. But I would want something that would celebrate all 42, 43, 50, whatever it is at that point, 50 years of the band. And if you can get as many people from their history to show up, that would be cool. And I really don't care where it would be. New York would be cool, even if they did something in a small club to recreate, the Daisy or the Coventry or what have you, or even in New York City somewhere outside in front of the Empire State Building, something super iconic. But honestly, I'm pretty open to a last show. I'm not too particular, but if I had to have one request, it would be try to bring as many people from the past back.
Yeah, that would be a great sentiment. I just don't see it happening because obviously, there's issues. Number one, Eric and Mark are no longer around. And for Eric particularly, he was such a critical part of the story for so long. Vinny is persona non grata no matter what, I think. There's nothing he could do to get back in their good graces other than stay away.
So basically Bruce is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and
essentially.
I think Bruce should be honored. He'd been a team player for all the years he was in and out of the band, so I wouldn't have a problem with that. However, ending it, I think, needs to be more strategically considered, and maybe they need to go into the Iron Maiden book of Souls. Into the book that kind of Iron Maiden does with how they tour nowadays is they fly into just the major markets. They're not doing any of these shed jumping tours. It's big markets or nothing to really take the the strain of touring off the aging bones. So a farewell and the final gigs, I don't see there being any one particular final gig. I don't think that would be fair in many cases to say this is the last one. So kind of my suggestion for ending it is a series of historic location shows, each one combined with instant DVDs. So a day or two later, they're available on iTunes and for purchase.
We can't even get Kissology 4. I have no hopes.
Okay, so this would not involve Kiss actually doing it. It would be getting a company that could deliver in a timely manner. But, we've done the Instant Live CDs, and we started off the show, talking about one of those kind of products. Well, why doesn't Kiss kick it up to the next level and actually do something different for a change and go Instant Live DV for the final Kisses? Unfortunately, I've already blown that freaking title, in The Last Kiss, so they can't use that again. But the sentiment's still there. A final Kiss in New York. It's their home. They got to do it. They have to do one in the Detroit area if there's anyone left in Detroit, who has a job and can afford to go, or, whatever. They've got to do one on the West Coast. They got to hit the Midwest just because it's just so important to history. So, they got to do Australia for a farewell. I would say do England, but who am I kidding? Germany, Scandinavia, Japan. So your major markets, just a series of maybe 10 shows. Pick your 10 most popular countries. Pick the venues where you think you might be actually able to fill them. And I don't know what Detroit's got these days for. They ripped Tiger Stadium down, didn't they?
They got Comerica Park with the Tigers playing out.
Yeah, so they've got big capacity. Obviously, Dodger Stadium's still around.
What about a Kiss concert at Disneyland or Disney World? How cool would that be?
Well, they're already halfway there with the cruise, the Disney cruises. You got the Kiss cruise. What's the difference, really? You still got Goofy.
I mean, if they're going 100% family-friendly entertainment, that'd just be the next step after Scooby-Doo.
I don't know how to respond to that. All right, so that's kind of my how they should end it. Have we missed anyone? Ken, did we miss you?
No.
Oh.
No, you went around the horn.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Or I did Central Park and so on.
Yeah, I better have another sip of beer then.
Free show,
Free.
So would Simon and Garfunkel open for Kiss? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Central Park? Central Park, there'd be like 10 people standing in a corner. Tell me Thayer sucks.
Ace could be there too. You never know.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest downside, is that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame did show that there's very unlikely to ever have the four original guys performing again. But, if you look at how Paul sounds and how they're starting to kind of, the gears are getting stuck a little bit, I think it's probably not a bad thing. And you don't want to be remembered that way of four creaky old men.
Yeah, and that's one thing that they had said, like after Ace and Peter had departed and they brought in Eric and Tommy, is that, that they wanted musicians at the top of their game, kind of took little stabs at Ace and Peter, especially during the farewell tour, that they weren't playing up to their ability. And, they were able to say that like in 03, 04, when Paul's voice was still legit and still good. They don't say things like that anymore, considering where Paul's vocals are now. And, you could put Paul's vocals in the same, I love Paul, but you could put Paul's vocals in the same category where Peter's drumming was by 2000 or 2003 on that Aerosmith tour. And, it's just sad. And that's, one of the things that makes you wish that maybe they had ended it before, because you don't want to see them tarnish their legacy or, but at the same time, like Julian said, they're Kiss. They don't care about tarnishing anything. But, it's just something that I thought about and I was thinking about for the show this week, that they had mentioned things like that and kind of ripped Ace and Peter for their declining abilities. And, well, here we are now in 2015, and you have a declining ability of your own. So
yeah, and bless
Gene
Ace.
Still sounds good.
Yeah, Gene sounds great.
Oh, he does. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And Ace has been able to lob some verbal hand grenades back at Paul. And while Paul's always been my favorite member of the band, I was kind of like, well, there's a little bit of karma for you, Paul, because you've been bashing on him for years. And I'm certainly not going to be an Ace fanboy and defend his behavior and a lot of what we've heard about his nature. But, calling him a drug addict in all these years that he's been sober, yeah, he had issues. But he's been working hard at sobriety. That's why I loved his speech in the Hall of Fame, where he kind of lobbed that sideways, comment about addiction, which was
diarrhea.
Yeah,
right.
It was a great thing. So, again, any further reunions are dead, and come on, Kiss, surprise me if you wanna.
I think Gene and Paul have always been bitter towards Ace since '82. I think they tried so hard to keep him in the band. And like I said, they didn't fire him. He quit. You got to be fair to Ace. He was never fired. He quit both times. And Paul tried to get him to stay. Gene tried to get him to stay. I think ever since then, both of them have been trying to show how Ace isn't needed. Ace isn't needed because we have Tommy or we have so and so.
Ace did nothing.
Ace did nothing.
I think they've been butthurt since '82, honestly, and I feel like that's
like a logo for a T-shirt for the Kiss Army. Kiss Army, butthurt since 1982. But Ace didn't. You say Ace quit the band. It was what was that actress who divorced recently or filed for divorce and said that she was going to have an amicable separation of our lifestyles or something stupid, because it took him until 1984 to actually get out of the band. It didn't occur until then, so it took 2 years of Ace time to actually get out of the band. But here we are.
They could blame Ace. I mean, look at the revolving door of guitarists after Ace left. It was just a nightmare for them. 82, 83, 84, until they got Bruce. It was a nightmare dealing with the lead guitarist. And they probably hold resentment towards Ace because of that, too. Look what happened. Ace left, and look what we have to deal with now. I think if Ace was willing to stay, I think they would have gone through the entire 80s with him. I don't think they ever would have gotten rid of him unless something really bad happened.
Yeah, Ace wouldn't have made it through the 80s. I think that,
We've seen some footage.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Lick It Up video with Ace and Peter? Somebody should do a Photoshop of that.
No, I can't.
No, please don't. No. That video is bad enough as it is. So let's
Peter had blonde hair.
let's get into the second part of this kind of discussion. And what do you think each member is going to do after Kiss does eventually call it a day? And no one's allowed to say be a pimp. Just not allowed. Lonnie.
Well, I could see Eric. Eric's a very talented drummer, and I think Eric just loves to play. And I could see him, if Alice had an opening on drums, I could see him going back to Alice. But at the same time, how much longer is Alice going to go too? He's, the same age as they are. But I could see Eric doing something like he's done. I think he really enjoys doing those ESP gigs with Bruce and Chuck Garrick and John Corabi. I think he really thoroughly enjoys that. It's something that he's able to do on his own terms and play the songs he wants to play the style that he's very comfortable and that comes naturally to him. So I could see him doing things like that. The Alice thing would be great, but Alice is in the same boat as Kiss. How much longer are we going to do it? I agree with what you guys said about Tommy. That I could see Tommy being the keeper of the Kiss archives, and after Kiss stops touring, I'd like to see more Kiss DVDs come out. I'd like to see more Kiss DVDs come out in general. We haven't had a proper Kiss DVD release since Kissology 3 and what was
a Blu-ray of all the bands.
Just something. It's been since 2008.
Yeah, there's nothing I like more than Kiss Exposed to be released on Blu-ray. Thanks a lot for that suggestion.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, or Kiss My Ass and.
Didn't they record the Rock Am Ring? Wasn't that supposed to be a DVD?
It's a great recording. Well, they recorded Detroit in 2009. Where's that at? They said that was going to be a DVD release. So but I'd like to see Tommy maybe devote himself to Kiss projects like that could continue to come out, on an annual or biannual basis, something like that. Because I think, Christ, there's still Jimi Hendrix things that come out, and there's still Beatles stuff that come out, and Elvis stuff that come out. I think there will always be new Kiss products that come out.
Look at all the discoveries, the Hendrix estate, for that matter. Exactly. I would just like to see a new video before I need surgery for cataracts. It's really taking a little bit too long. So archives are definitely going to be key, but with how the archives have kind of been handled up to this point is very disappointing. And Destroyer Resurrected and Love Gun Deluxe, I will just say, let those be the fucking evidence of how poorly the catalog has been handled, regardless of any of the legal things that we're not privy to.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you truly think there's this vault, or do you think that's just another fairy tale story? Do you think there's all this stuff waiting to come out after they retire, or do you think that's just something they're telling us to make us happy for now?
I say yes and no. I say that there is stuff out there, but is there this vault and just gobs and gobs of unreleased music and video? No, I don't think so. But I think there are things out there that the band has, and maybe that the hoarders, sorry for using the word hoarders, don't even have. I think there's things that they've helped that are out, that are in Kiss's vault, that could still see the light of day someday.
Yeah, there's gobs and gobs of stuff out there, unreleased stuff. The problem for Kiss is it's not in their hands, and there's some pissant collector who thinks he's going to retire on that 7-inch reel. Sorry, it ain't going to happen. It's not worth that much. As simple as that. There's some very cool shit that could be released, and the band certainly is able to throw you for a loop sometimes. I would say Gene's probably got the best stash of shit. Probably.
I think as the years go by, too, there's going to be less and less interest in that stuff.
Oh, they're so far past the interest level now.
Yeah.
The box set was a mediocre attempt at it, and if they talk about doing a box set too, there's going to be a universal meh from the Kiss fans who'll be like, "I'll fucking download it. I'm not giving them any more money."
Nobody buys CDs anymore anyway.
That ship has sailed. And I think I mentioned it on a show before that, like the Beatles did with their 1962 radio recordings. When they put that whole 50 tracks out at last year because of copyright. Kiss should be doing similar. Get it out there. 99 cents per song. You can pick and choose. Put a whole, again, we get into the legal side of it, which I don't want to get into. But for what they can control, and they are obviously still working with Universal, they should be putting everything they can out to monetize it before it leaks out on torrent sites for free. And over the years, they've missed the boat repeatedly.
The Wicked Lester album, I can't believe that hasn't come out officially at some point, in some way. Even if it was a bonus disc as part of a box set, or a bonus disc as part of something else you got for free.
It's idiotic when you consider that they remastered the whole damn album for 2001 and only put 3 tracks on the box set. The whole album is now out there as a result, and they didn't monitor.
On vinyl, no less, too.
Well, yeah, and I'm sick to death of all that vinyl shit that comes out of Europe. It bores me to absolute tears. Purple, red, clear. Test pressings of bootlegs. It's killed the collector's market for me. Any interest in it whatsoever. So
I did get the Wicked Lester one just because I feel like that's a release that should have existed, and I thought that was kind of a cool. But there's so much stuff that comes out now. It's like I don't even. It looks cool, but for the prices that they want for it, it's like forget it.
The prices are nuts. I mean, the last one I really, really had to have, and I have bought a few silver CDs this year, was Horny Bitches, the 73 Amityville.
Ah, yes, Horny Bitches.
Yeah, stupid title, but, whatever. I guess Peter says that during the show. All right, Ken, what do you think the members of KISS should do? And if I've skipped any of your members, you guys can jump back in later. So, Ken.
All right, well, what should they do? And this may be a few years from now, or I don't know. We don't know.
No, Nigel quit the show.
He's pissed you haven't gone to him.
Let's turn the lights on. So, let's go one by one. Gene Simmons.
Sorry, I look like Michael Myers there.
No, I don't mind.
All right, firstly, Gene Simmons, after KISS, he may do some solo music, possibly, get into his Beatles style, maybe, and record a album's worth of tunes. And I would think he also may do, production, movie kind of stuff. Maybe he's going to still try to push KISS into cartoon shows or whatever. From that standpoint, I could see him doing that sort of thing. And then maybe just taking it easy. The other thing is finally putting out his box set of all his demos and so on that he's told us many times before. So that's what Gene maybe should do or will do. I don't know. Paul Stanley, maybe just go back into art, his art, painting and so on. He'll have a lot more time to do that, and I know he's doing this like Soul Station stuff now, but I don't know how much his voice is going to hold up the way it is right now, and I can't see him doing a whole lot more singing after another few years. I can't go
well
anywhere.
In that certain register, and that's what I thought with those soul songs. They're not at the KISS register he sings in, so I thought maybe that was a safe thing for him to do, where he could do his music that he enjoys as a kid, and also still sound somewhat decent.
Right, you got a good point there, yeah, because that's true. So if he's singing songs that we've never heard before, we're not going to know.
Yeah.
If he's doing it wrong, really, or out of tune, or a little bit high or low, or it's going to probably work, and even new music, but. He can't do the KISS songs anymore. I don't think after.
No, I feel he's definitely market testing with Soul Station.
Yeah, it could be, very well could be. It probably is. So, so he may do that. A little bit of recording of some, different kind of music, or touring in a different manner, but no KISS. Then Tommy Thayer, I could see him like Nigel was saying, managing Kiss 2.0, if there was a 2.0, and then managing the marketing part of thing, behind the scenes of getting re-releases of CDs and rarities out and videos, hopefully more Kissologies and so on. And maybe he'll do a solo album himself because he's never done one. Maybe he needs to do one. Get that out of his system.
Yeah, I guess they could use the 1978 Ace Frehley solo art for his solo album.
Oh my gosh. Hello, FAQ4. We're gonna go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, Kiss solo albums version 2 released the same day. Then the next one, let's see, Eric. Yeah, I could see, like Lonnie was saying, Alice Cooper, if Alice Cooper's still going strong out there, or his other bands, one-off bands like ESP he talked about, and maybe him and Bruce and Bob Kulick and Karabi or whatever, that can all get together, put some other kind of group together and put out some new music that way. So that's where I see that heading. Probably totally wrong, but
yeah,
who knows?
They're probably going to surprise us all, and we'll all be wrong. So it's Kiss, unpredictable. Lonnie.
But maybe that surprise, didn't they say there's going to be a surprise next year? I don't know if Tommy Thayer said it. So maybe they are going to release the 4 solo albums again with new members, with the newest members.
Yeah, but don't forget, this is also counting with Kiss. Numbers don't exactly. Next year could mean 5 years from now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Lonnie.
I went. Nigel, you go.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. I'm totally losing it.
As far as Gene and Paul are concerned, I think Paul will continue to do his art. He'll produce because he loves to do that. He'll probably do the Soul Station stuff, not necessarily that all the way, but stuff in that vein. But Paul's a family guy. He's a family man. I think he would do a couple one-off shows, some art gallery stuff, but for the most part, probably just raise his kids.
Yeah.
He certainly wouldn't be out of the public eye. He would definitely keep his himself out there as far as premieres and music shows and this, that, and the other. But I see him staying at home more than I see Gene. I see Gene, as far as what I'd love to see Gene do, a solo tour, where he plays his solo album, 78th solo album, some Beatles songs, Lita, My Uncle Was a Raft, all that stuff. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to see him play acoustic guitar, just like he did on his solo album. And we're going to go way crazy. I'd love to see Gene host stuff on Turner Classic Movies, horror movies, documentaries on, Lon Chaney or the history of horror, all that cool stuff that he is into. I would love to see him do that kind of stuff. Like an Elvira type, like a Svengoolie. He could be the host of Gene Simmons' movie Monster Mania film series.
It's a cool thought.
Yeah, what do they have? They have some of those like dinner and a movie type shows where they have the two hosts who interrupt during commercials and talk. Yeah, he would be great doing that for because that would probably get me to watch some of these classic horror films that I have zero interest in, because then I would love to hear Gene, who's a student of that, explain the genre. It'd be
he wouldn't even have to research that. He could just go in there and
yeah. So
Robert McKimson, right? 1956. Tom Snyder.
Yeah.
So, some of those facts I think were actually wrong. I think somebody called him out on that later on, but he was so sure of himself in that interview, you don't even question it.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a really cool suggestion, Nigel. I would never actually consider that. And who else? Have you hit all 4?
Are we talking Peter and Ace? I mean, because as far as I'm concerned, they've already...
I think we've seen that.
Yeah, they're already on their way. I don't think there's going to be any surprises from them. Eric, in the same vein as Lonnie said, Tommy, like I said, produce, probably do, session work with other bands. I'm sure he'll never leave Doc's side. I think him and Doc will work on touring. If it's not for Kiss 2.0, it'll be for something else, because Tommy's like, not the handyman, but you know what I mean. jack of all trades. He'll do whatever's necessary.
Coffee bringer, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, he'll go back to bringing Doc coffee, yeah.
Somehow I just don't see that happening. All right, me. Gene and Paul, they can never get away from the business of Kiss no matter how they try. There is no escape. It is their ball and chain forever and ever. I continue to see them doing exactly what they're doing now, which is monetizing any revenue stream they possibly can, whether it's Rock and Brews. I see Paul branching out. I wouldn't be surprised, and I would actually love it as much as I have no interest in watching it, to see Paul do a cooking show.
I was going to say that,
yeah. Yeah, if he loves...
Cut up the onions, people!
Brussels sprouts.
It would be interesting because there aren't really enough celebrity-type cooking shows where you actually go in their home and, they cook their favorite meals. I mean, it would make a great Food Network concept. And Paul Stanley, he's good in front of the camera. So I see him doing that sort of thing. He's going to do another solo album, I'm pretty sure. Whether it's down in the lower register of his favorite R&B, so that he can actually sing it, but he'll do another solo album. I'm sure that his creativity does not allow him to not find a way around whatever challenges he has physically with his voice. Gene is unable to stop working. He's a workaholic. I would love to see him be this generation's Johnny Cash, a respected elder statesman of music, not necessarily going country, and that goes off, I think, what Nigel said. Him going on tour and, doing some interesting type stand-up shows with his older music, not, getting away from the Kiss stuff and just going completely solo for select dates. He'd be great in Vegas, but I also thought Peter would be great doing that. Lounge with Peter Criss, have him perform his solo album and his R&B stuff. So,
One for All live.
No thanks.
No. There'll be no one.
Take One for All on CD. Why would I want to hear it live?
Paul Schaefer's free now. He could be there too. Didn't he help him on that album?
He did.
Paul Schaefer played some piano on it.
Yeah, he did quite a bit actually.
He looks like his long lost brother with a shaved head. He really does.
Tommy's going to be business. I don't see him doing guest guitar on anything because, let's be honest, people can call Ace if they want a guest guitarist.
Oh!
I'm sorry. I just don't see Tommy's phone going off. Tommy, can you come do a guest solo? I see him doing the business. Tommy, can you come help us, become a troubleshooter in music industry? Because he's worked with Ace. Come on. And Peter.
Yeah.
Look at the hate he got from them in the book. He's like the musical troubleshooter. So we get back to reality TV, where I talked about Paul and cooking shows. Well, what about Bar Rescue? Band Rescue with Tommy Thayer. He comes in. He's already done it. And he's done it for probably one of the biggest bands in the world. So, that's better than the Shrinks who helped Metallica. Get Tommy and to help Nickelback deal with their issues. It'll be very entertaining. Eric Singer will remain a jack of all trades, or he'll do something completely off the wall and leave everyone scratching their heads. Alice Cooper, out of the question. Alice just won't be around.
He'll have his own show on QVC where he sells watches.
Yeah, that's a complete possibility with Eric. Watch trading with Eric Singer.
The hands are drumsticks,
That's actually not bad.
And then who have I forgotten? Peter. No, I'd still love Peter to do a lounge kind of tour, but he obviously has no interest. So Ace will just keep doing what Ace is doing. He's finally obviously decided that he can make music. So
he's finally decided he can tour too. Finally,
yeah.
He hasn't done.
When's the last time I saw him on tour? He doesn't come anywhere near California.
He's coming here in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
him here.
Which one's he going to there? Pops? Is it?
Pops? I asked my wife if she wanted to go. She said no.
Was the hand up? Talk to the hand.
Yeah. I said it's probably a wise decision.
Yeah, but Ace is like Axl. What time's he going on stage?
Exactly. I took off work the next day because who knows what time I'm going to get home.
Yeah, but
doing the meet and greet or just the show?
No, just to show. Last time he came here, me and my buddy found out what hotel he was staying at. So the moment the show was over, we got in our car and drove to the hotel and waited for him in the lobby. We got a couple signatures from him in the lobby that night. It was pretty sweet. So
that's cool.
So I could see us pulling something like that again. So see what happens. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, that meet and greet's a good thing. If Kiss does come on tour around here one more time, I'm going to do the meet and greet.
I've thought about that too.
Yeah,
if they do it one more time.
One more time. It just really feels like that last time's getting close. And I missed it for Vegas. I didn't do it. I regretted it. I tried to buy. I tried to buy one the day of show, and they're like, "We don't sell those here." I'm like, well, maybe you should.
Well, they give you $1,200.
My credit card is right here.
Yeah, if Gene was in charge of that would have been a flawless transaction.
Yeah, I don't think they would have turned you away.
Yeah, the card would have been gone, and it still would be ringing up charges. Gene, let me take care of that for you. That's it. So, are we optimistic about the end, or is it happy, sad, bittersweet, both? Do you think it's time, and will you have any regrets when it's over? Nigel?
Do I think it's time? Yes and no. I mean, I'm going to ride off with whatever they decide to do. If they end it tomorrow, that's fine. If they go on for another 5-6 years, that's fine too. I consider everything past 2001 to be extra. So whenever they decide to call it quits is fine. I've had a lot of enjoyable times. The cruises especially is something I never thought I'd get to do. And if Kiss ended in 2001, 2002, that's something that never would have happened. So I'm up for whatever, honestly, because what a ride this 45 years has been. And every year you think something's going to happen the next year, and it completely does a 180. So you can never tell with Kiss what's going on. Yeah, so I'm fine with whatever happens.
They're unpredictable, at least. Are you going cruising this year?
First year, I missed the first one. This is the first year I have skipped it. A lot of the people that I roomed with weren't going this year. They were doing other things, and just the thought of Alive didn't really excite me all that much.
So you didn't want to room with imposters or people wearing the makeup of the people you'd roomed with previously?
I don't know. I'll have to check with them. Maybe they know somebody that could fill in. But just a bunch of elements that kind of made me think, nah, I'll skip it this year. But if they do something really cool the next year, I'd like to do it because I think those cruises are probably going to be running out pretty soon too. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it out there. You're going to regret not going this year. Lonnie.
I'm sorry. It was, what was the question?
Well.
Spacing out here. I'm kind of in the boat as Nigel, is that anytime I've seen them after the farewell tour, I always considered it a bonus. And I think every time I've seen them since then, I always went into it with the mindset of this could be the last time I see them. That, like, even when I saw them in 2004 on Rock the Nation, that, you know what, they might not tour again next year. And, it was a few years before I did see them again after Rock the Nation. And I've continued to think that every time I've gone. And when I saw them in Vegas last year, I thought, you know what, this could be it. This could be the last time that I see them. They might not do another proper tour of the States, and this could be it. And if they tour this next summer, I'll go into that with the same attitude, that this could be the last time I get to see the band. Should they have ended it already? Maybe. But and I'm kind of like what Nigel said, whenever they decide to call it a day, as far as the touring aspect of the band goes, I'll be okay with it. Do I want them to continue on? Yeah, I enjoy being a fan. I enjoy getting on the KissFAQ or Kiss Online and seeing what's going on with the band on a day-to-day basis. And I think we're really lucky that our favorite band has continued to tour and continued to be active for 40 years and continued to give us these memories. So I think that, when they tour, hopefully they tour next year. That's the rumor anyway. I'll go into it with that attitude that this could be the last time I see him, and hope my wife isn't hearing me. But I'd like to do maybe the meet and greet next time they tour, because this could be it, and to be able to see them and meet them in that capacity one more time would be fantastic. So, whenever they decide to call it a day, I think I'll be on board with the decision, and I'll miss them as a band because they've been a part of my life as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, I had gone on record as saying as I planned on Vegas being my last Kiss show, but for maybe one last meet and greet, I would go to another show. I've really lost kind of the interest or passion for the Kiss concert experience. I get it more through, the pre-76 live recordings these days do more for me than to actually go and see them. But I'm also on record as saying that I was happy that Psycho Circus did not end up being their final, recorded output, as much as I am also on record as saying that the album has grown on me, over the years. It's
one of my favorite, honestly.
Declined on me.
And one of those episodes where I said I actually felt it was a little bit underrated, and surprised myself. So, Sonic Boom and Monster have been bonuses. There's some good material on it that haven't been done the justice of a band that was fully in command of its vocal abilities, really, because musically it's decent. Production-wise, it's somewhat lackluster, and vocally it's challenging.
You saw the thing Eric said about the production of Monster. I'm surprised he came out that soon and kind of threw it under the bus that way. But
I agree with 100%.
He's not wrong at all.
No, totally not wrong. Which is why I've also kind of made the suggestion of it would be great for them to take the same batch of songs and record them with Eddie Kramer and Bob Ezra and put that out as a album, because that would just be insanely cool to have the same material interpreted by two different producers who are both perfect for Kiss. So,
Side A would be what? Eddie Kramer. Side B be Bob Ezra or something like that?
Yeah, something like
cool.
that.
I totally agree with him on that, though. I think Sonic Boom just sounds so much better than Monster does, though.
Yeah, and surprisingly, I did not like the sound of Sonic Boom when it first came out. It had some weird sonic signature to it, but compared to Monster, worlds apart. Ken, your thoughts?
Monster's like the modern day Hotter Than Hell. Like, it's got good stuff on it, but yeah, the production just isn't there.
Right.
Agreed.
For me, like Nigel said, he was talking about 2000 was it 2000 2001. For him, everything after that is, I said, okay, well, for me, I think 96 and going forward after 96, that's kind of been extra for me. I thought, after the reunion, I didn't know if they were going to continue after that reunion tour. Who knew it was going to happen, that it was going to keep going and going and going. So 96 was it for me. I thought, I don't know how much longer they're going to go after that, but look, we're here in 2015 and they're still, touring. So the other thing is, I don't know how much longer it's going to last. Another couple of years, maybe, I'm thinking. Me too. I'm feeling the same way about the meet and greet. I haven't done a real concert meet and greet, so maybe the next time they pass through here, Northern California, I'll fork out a little bit of extra money there for the meet and greet. Maybe I'll see Julian there. We'll hang out.
Yeah, the last time I did a meet and greet was Rock the Nation, and that was really fun. But back then they were actually pressing the flash. I think they did the acoustics to kind of take away from the FaceTime with the freaks. Come on, it meant less. Look at some of the videos, of South America, where they actually have the fences between the fans and them doing the acoustic set. So it's very impersonal. Well, the Japan one, what was it? One of them had 700. Back in 2004, it was a milling crowd of 30 or 40 people, going from one to the next, and some monopolizing time with their 800 items to get signed.
the one I did on Rock the Nation, there was like 12 people there. It was awesome because you were just you could like literally just talk to him, and you could literally have like a conversation with Gene while he's signing as much stuff as you want, not like the 2 things they tell you can bring it now. It was incredible.
Yeah, and for me, the 2003 one was brilliant because I had some really good time with Peter, and had a good chat with him, a good conversation. It was hilarious as well, but I also had a good time with Tommy and Gene. Paul didn't seem very comfortable that day, so I kind of didn't do anything more than get his autograph. So both of those, for me, are a damn sight better than, okay, we're going to play some acoustic songs while Gene shouts, "Save your voice," to Paul, So while we put up a fence between you, and then afterwards, we'll come to the fence, because there's nothing special about that whatsoever for $1,000 or whatever it is they
so
charge.
The other thing with that, the meet and greet, so if they come by again, I'm going to do that for sure. The other thing is, even though they've continued on, I still get very excited when they're going to say they're going to do a new album or something very cool is going to be released. It takes me back to the late '70s when I was heard something they were going to go on tour or a new album was coming. I got very excited about it. Maybe I'm not excited as I used to be, but it's like, I can't wait to hear these new songs.
Oh, you feel that inside of you, though.
You get that, it's like you get excited. You get it the first day it's available. If it's in the store, you go there when it opens.
When it opens, yep.
If Psycho Circus came out, I skipped class in college to go buy Psycho Circus at 10 o'clock when Best Buy opened.
Yeah, so I think I did too. I had the day off from work,
Right.
I think so. Yeah, it's still very exciting, and I'm glad they're continuing as long as they can do it, as long as they hopefully don't tarnish themselves at some point.
That's impossible at this point.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
So I'm a lifer.
Yeah, I think we probably all are. So let's just take that one question and throw it out to each one of us. Should they do one last album before the end? Ken?
Yes.
I will never say no to that.
Yeah. So yes, they should do one more, and I've said Eddie Kramer should produce it. That's what I say.
Lonnie?
I'd love to see it, but I don't see it happening.
No, I mean, you're getting Gene saying maybe and Paul saying maybe not. Maybe they just gotta, have a little... But
if you do it, you gotta do it right, like they said. You bring in Eddie Kramer or bring in Bob Ezrin and do it right. But I think Paul's ego is too big to allow that to happen at this point. I think we'd get, a Paul Stanley produced Paul Stanley produced Kiss album again. I'd like to see another Kiss album. And I'd like to see it produced by Eddie Kramer, but I don't see either one happening, personally.
Nigel?
I'm always going to say yes. I would, even if it was, like Killers, if they put out a greatest hits package and recorded 4 more songs to throw on there, I would even be okay with that. Whatever new music they want to give us is fine.
Even Let's Put the X in Sex, what if they did 2 songs like that?
You know what? If I listen to it once and never listen to it again, at least I know it exists.
Yeah, new music is new music. We didn't say anything about good new music or bad new music. New music, it sounds like a Yoda thing. It simply is new music, not good or bad.
But if they were going to do one more record, I would want them to go a little away from Sonic Boom and Monster, which was trying to recreate the 70s. I'd like them to do songs that are what they're all about now.
So going blind, I'm 93 and you're 16.
Cataract surgery, yeah. I mean, Gene doesn't have to redo God of Thunder every album. Paul doesn't have to redo Love Gun every album. Do, like, I don't want to say like Carnival of Souls, but like I Will Be There and
Read My Body
and We Are One.
The Elder too.
Journey of 1,000 Years. I feel like those songs were more of them at that time versus let's go back to the 70s and try to redo Calling Dr. Love 3 times for this record. So if they were going to do one more, I'd want it to be more honest, more just whatever we're working on, and we're going to make it a great Kiss album.
Journey of 70 years. My bones are aching.
and you just used honest and Kiss in the same sentence. I mean,
well, yeah. So I guess that makes no sense, but
I'm just passionate.
so I'm like you. I'll take new music, but I'd rather it not sound like Samurai Sun or Don't Touch My Ascot. You know, I would rather have Gene rewriting God of Thunder than any of that shit. I understand what it was for, so you know, don't bite my head off, people out there. But I would much rather they just put an album together. I don't care if Gene's recycling stuff and we've heard that bridge before or we've heard that sentence in a verse. I don't give a shit. You know, he's Gene Simmons. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Paul Stanley, you know, should probably go back to some of those songs that he hasn't done. Do one more album. And, you know, Kramer, Ezrin, maybe have a TV show, the Kramer-Ezrin death match to who gets to produce it.
Get Ken Kelly to do the cover.
No. I don't think I'd ever want to see another Ken Kelly cover.
All right, well,
but that's
not another Monster cover either.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah, I mean, that was just such a disappointment.
And so was Michael Dorrit's cover for Sonic Boom. Didn't work on any. That was just like I felt Paul Stanley probably stuck his thumb in a bit too much on that palette.
Tried too hard on the Sonic.
Maybe Paul should paint the photo.
You get like a circle.
A circle with the star in the middle.
Kiss World.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our topic. That is the end of the end. Ken, Lonnie, Nigel, thank you for joining me today. Kiss fans, thank you for joining us. Check out the page on Facebook and come on over to the KissFAQ message board and argue with us about this topic. We look forward to hearing your thoughts on it. So thank you all and see you next time.
All right. Take it easy. Thanks.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. We hope to see you again.